what a fun intro. That was fun to see. It's so good to be here with all of you today. And I am honored to be joined by Debbie Gertler, who we're going to learn from. And we appreciate all of you who join these live events. We do them every week, typically, and you'll know that they're coming because we will be promoting them on rootstech.org on the homepage every month, what's coming ahead. And then also you can go to our social media. And if you're watching on social media, you can see that we're there already. But we usually post these about a week in advance. And please let us know if there's topics that you want to learn more about. Our wonderful genealogists and experts at the FamilySearch Library are ready to help. And if you didn't know already, you can set up free consultations with them. And you can also go to rootstech.org to the library to learn from hundreds of different topics and classes. And then we're going to give you a refresh of all the information in these live events. So it's very exciting. So that I know that we're live, put in the comments where you're watching from, because I haven't seen any comments yet, and I would love to. And I know we usually have people from all over the world. Debbie also teaches in Spanish, so this will be English, right?
Yes, this will be English.
English, but we have Spanish classes too, and we're so grateful for Debbie for doing that. Can anyone put in the comments where they're watching from so that we know that you're here? And then while we're waiting for you to do that, for all of you to do that, from someone from the UK.
Oh, awesome.
That's very cool. Thank you for joining us. That's very exciting. That's where my ancestry comes from, is mostly from the UK. So that's exciting to see you here. Thank you for joining us. For those of you that are watching, we want you to put your questions in the chat, and Debbie will be able to answer them at the end. And so don't hesitate. And then if you're watching the replay, put your questions in the chat. We will get back to you after the fact. So it doesn't have to be live, but we will try to get to all the questions live as well. Okay, so let's get to the topic at hand. Today, we're here to talk about searching on FamilySearch. This is a topic I really need. I always get stuck when I'm on FamilySearch and searching the same thing. So I'm very excited to learn from you, Debbie. Debbie Gertler here to my side, this side, is the Assistant Director of the FamilySearch Library in Salt Lake City. She has a bachelor's degree in family history from Brigham Young University and 5 accredited genealogist credentials for the U.S., Mid-South, Spain, Mexico, Portugal, and Chile. She's fluent in Spanish, as we discussed, and she spent 5 years in South America and is a frequent speaker on Hispanic research topics at local and national conferences, including RootsTech. We're always happy to have her there. She is the mother of 3 and the grandmother of 6. So, Debbie, we're so excited to have you here and to teach us about FamilySearch that has a vast record of collections and records, and more than 70% of those images are not indexed. So it's important to learn how to access these records that might contain information that you're currently searching for. And Debbie is going to help us do that. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Debbie, and I'll be in the background helping to answer your questions and put them on the screen and help in any way possible. So thanks.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Erin. Yeah. So I love teaching about searching, and this one I actually updated some slides just today because there is new stuff on FamilySearch all the time. So if you're not keeping up, you need to. So let's go ahead and get started. And this is called I Didn't Know You Could Search Like That. And I'm going to show you some fun tips along the way. So we're going to talk about a variety of different search techniques that you can use to help maximize your results and find maybe elusive ancestors in places that you might have missed previously. And we have a lot of fun places to look. So I'm going to talk to you about a new global search feature that you may not be aware of. We'll talk about more search options, and of course, the fabulous full-text search. We're going to also talk about using computer-aided index records because we have a lot of those on FamilySearch right now, and it's important to know how to look for those and how to navigate those, because the computer is still learning, so sometimes it makes a few mistakes. We'll talk about that and how you can overcome those. And then we'll talk about how to browse those images where you can find those records that are unindexed and perhaps brand new in the FamilySearch pipeline. So as we go through the presentation, you'll see this little pink Post-it note that says tips. These are some important tips that you'll want to pay a special attention to. So always search by name first. FamilySearch adds new indexed records all the time. And so if you searched a few weeks ago and you haven't tried again, try again. There's always more names out there than there were last week. So keep on trying. Always view the image of the original record, because we can't index in the regularly indexed records. We don't index everything that's in the record. In the full text search we do, but it's really important that you read through that image to make sure you understand the record and you get all the names and the details that are there. Be sure to attach the sources that you find to your family tree. As my friend likes to say, FamilySearch without sources is genealogy without sources is mythology. Be sure to search using a variety of methods, and I'm going to show you several different ways to do that. And I am a big advocate of less is more when entering information. You can enter in a lot of information if you'd like, but sometimes when you enter a lot of information, that narrows your focus so narrow that you might miss some things that maybe were indexed a little differently or off a little bit because maybe the information was off a little bit. So, and then always log into with your FamilySearch account. It's free, and you usually get access to greater records, and you definitely need to log in if you want to use full text search. All right, so let's talk about this new global search feature that's come out in the last few months. It is found once you've logged in, and you can see I'm logged in. It's on your logged in homepage, and over here on the right-hand side, you'll see these little search engine here. I'm going to blow that up for you, where you can enter in first names, last names, a possible location, and even a birth year if you'd like, and it's going to search everything that FamilySearch has. I'm going to walk you through how that works. So this time we're going to look for my, I think he's my 2 times great-grandfather, George Crowder. He lived in Dallas County, Arkansas, and he was born about 1851. So I've put that in, and here you can see my search results, and then we're going to talk a little bit about this sidebar here that we've got going on the left. So the first option I have is to see my search parameters, and I have a little pencil here where I can go back and edit it if I want to change some of the information. So or I can even use it to start a new search. Next, I've got my filters. So I can filter by record type, by the collection. And as you'll notice, these little numbers beside each of these different collection record types, this is the number of results that come from each of those different record types, so I can see where they're coming from. And then finally, this global search option also allows you to search in genealogies, in our catalog, in our digital books, and in our image-only records. So I'm going to walk you through how that's done. I've got a little video here. So I've got my results here. Now I'm going to scroll down, I'm going to click on genealogies, and what it's going to do is it's going to take all that information that I entered into the search engine and feed it right into the genealogies search page and look for information in genealogies. Now it's going to go to the catalog, and it's going to search by the surname that I put in, Crowder, and it's going to show me results that match, that have my surname in, that might be helpful to find more information about my ancestors. Now we're going to go back, and we're going to try books. And this time it's going to search in our digital library for any books that have Crowder in the title or in the index or in the information about the book. So cool, I've just searched a bunch of different places and one swapped. Now, finally, it's going to do the image-only records. But the thing you need to know about image-only records is it's for places, not for names. So what's it going to do? It's going to feed Dallas County, Arkansas into the search engine and show me image-only collections for Dallas County, Arkansas. Now, I will tell you that some of those image-only collections for Dallas County, Arkansas have been indexed, but if I want to browse through the images, that's a great way to go do that. All right, now let's talk about searching on these other sites. So there are also options where FamilySearch will automatically push the information that you've put into the search engine and allow you to search on Ancestry, MyHeritage, Find My Past, Philae, and in Google. So what this does is it opens up in a new browser window. It fills in the search engine. Now, if you have subscriptions to those sites, you probably will want to log in before you hit that button. But if you're in a family search center, it should automatically take you to the collections in the Family Search Center, the institutional versions. It might not, so just test it out. But if you have subscriptions already to these, it automatically fills in your information. So this global search is like your one-stop shop for searching a whole bunch of websites all at once. All right, now let's talk about one of my favorite features that people often don't use, and that's searching with more options. It's under the search and then records. So let's take a look at that. So if I click on search, I've got here the search engine, and you'll see this little button that says more options. When I click on that, I have a lot of options here, and I'm going to walk you through some of these. And again, here's some tips. I do a lot of Hispanic research, but I find that many of the early Hispanic records only have one surname, even though it's very common now for Hispanics to use the double surname. Because these records are earlier and some of them predate that practice of using two surnames, I recommend that you always try searching with just one surname. We also have this option up here to search for historical U.S. counties. Sometimes it's important to know the genealogy of the place that you're looking for. So this historical U.S. counties will tell you about boundary changes and when the county became what it is today, and which counties perhaps were the parent counties of that county. So this is a Chrome browser extension that you can download and use it for free. It works not only on FamilySearch, but it also works with Ancestry as well. All right, now let's go back to our search engine. Now you see this little option here to show an exact search. You can try that, and you would just click on this button and it will search for exactly what you put into the search engine, but I don't recommend it because it can limit you if the name is spelled slightly wrong or if there's some slight variation in what you're looking for. So, and with some of these computer-aided indexed records, you're going to want to not use that because sometimes a computer reads an A as an O or an A as an E, and so just be aware of those limitations of the artificial intelligence. All right, now let's walk through the search engine field because you can see now I've opened up more options. So you have an option here to put in a first and last name, but you can also put an alternate first name and last name. Let's say your Uncle John was his given name, but he always went by Jack. You can search for John Smith or Jack Smith, and you'll get the results that you need. Now, in the next one, we have add a life event, and you can see we've got birth, marriage, residence, and death. The default is just any. Now, these I would recommend if you're looking especially for a particular record type. If you're looking for a birth, use it for birth, click on birth and enter it in, or marriage, or residence. Perhaps you're looking for a census record or a death record. Or you can click on death and put in the death information, so you can use that as well. As we continue on, we've got add a family member. So this is what I call searching by relationship. So you can search for the spouse, the father, the mother, another person who's connected with your ancestor. And you can also search for multiple spouses on this as well. So you can click it more than once and keep adding the names. If you're like my 3 times great-grandfather who married 3 times, you can add all 3 wives in if you'd like. Next, we've got the record options. So you can add by type, by batch number, or by a DGS or a film number. And then the principal is if you want your person to be the principal person about the record. And I'll explain that when we get to some results page. And then this is another option that many people rarely use, where you can put in the country and the state or province. So if I were looking for George Cotter, I would put in United States here. And then once I put in United States, it'll give me options for the state. And then I can put in Arkansas. So keep in mind of these more options that are available. All right, now let's talk about searching with a relationship. This is a powerful feature and a lot of people don't use it, so you need to know about it. So we know our families had connections. They probably had a spouse. They had parents. They may have had children. They may have had brothers and sisters. You can search for them using these family connections. So a spouse search will allow you to search for the person with the name of their spouse. And as I mentioned, you can search with multiple spouses. Excuse me. A parent search will allow you to search for the entire family using just the names of the parents. And you can also search using multiple parents. Perhaps there was a stepmom or a stepfather. You can search that way as well. Now, for those countries, and this is common in Southern Europe, where the woman does not change her name when she marries, you can try searching using the paternal and the maternal surname. So let's say dad was Juan Gomez and mother was Maria Cabrera. I can put Gomez and Cabrera in the father's surname and the mother's surname field and search that way and see what I can find. All right, so let's take a look and see how that's done. So this is that add family member section that you're going to choose when you want to add that other family member. All right, this one we're going to do a search and we're going to look for a marriage and we're going to use the name of the couple and the place. So we're going to look for George Rogers and Amelia Oakey, and they married in Gloucestershire, England. So let's do a search for their marriage. And I know they married in the 1820s in Gloucestershire, but I don't know the exact date. So what did I put in my information? I put in the name of George as the principal, George Rogers. I added his wife, Amelia Oakey, because in the marriage record, she will be using her maiden name. And then I've added the country, England, and I filtered it down to the county. I just wanted to show me George Rogers in Gloucestershire County. And then sometimes you can get a marriage result by focusing specifically on the marriage. And so that's what I've done here. I've clicked on marriage and I didn't add a place, but I did add a date range. I want the marriage to be between 1820 and 1830. So let's take a look. Now, because I specified a marriage date, my first result is a marriage. So keep that in mind when you're looking for a specific record. So we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's do a little tour of this results page. Now, up here at the top, you'll see these little things that maybe look like pills. I don't know what you want to call them, buttons. Those are your filters. With these filters, you can filter by collection or any of these other options here. And basically what you would do is you click on the button that you're looking for, and it'll start with the largest collection category or the largest jurisdiction, or if you're doing it by time, starts with the century, and then you can drill down to a more specific collection, a more specific place, or a decade. So that's how those work. And I like to use those, especially when I'm trying to filter down for a specific person in a specific place in a specific decade or time range. All right, so here in the name column, this matches your search. This message matches what you put in your search engine. And when it says principal, that means that is their role in the record. They're one of the main people in that record. The next column is, let me go back here for a second. The underneath here, you'll see England marriages from 1538 to 1973. This is the name of the collection the result comes from. Don't let these dates throw you off. I'm looking for a marriage in 1820s. This refers to the collection and not to this result. Next, we've got the event type, which is a marriage. I've got the date and I've got the place. And this appears when my person here is the principal in the record. Next, we've got the relationship, and we don't just guess at what the relationship is. It's based on how it's stated in the record. So it states very clearly in the record that Amelia is his spouse. Now we've got these two little icons here. The one that looks like a little family tree shows that this record has been attached to someone in the tree, and I can click on that and go right to that person in the FamilySearch family tree. The next one that looks like a little piece of paper, that's the indexed information that was pulled from this particular record. All right, so here's our indexed information, and then I can see over here on the right-hand side, this is who it's attached to in Family Tree. And then I have all of these similar records where the information matches very closely to what I've put into my search fields and also matches closely with the person that it's attached to in the tree, because the computer thinks those are good matches. Next, we've got the image availability, and it's a little blurry, so we'll talk about that in a minute. And then we've got the source details. This is super important, and we'll come back to this when we go to find the image of this record, because remember I told you always look at the image of an index record. So it tells me it's page 132, number 394. So let's go back. Let's go do another search before we go look for that marriage record. So this is, we're going to do a parent search, and we're going to use George and Amelia again. So this time I've left, you'll notice up here, nothing in this main field. I've clicked on father and added George, and I've clicked on mother and added Amelia. And I didn't add her surname. Why? Because in English parish records, she will not be using her maiden name, and she probably won't have her married name in the record either, so I didn't add that. If I were searching in a country where she kept her maiden name, I would go ahead and add that. And next, I've added England again to the location and the county of Gloucestershire. All right, so let's take a look at my results. You can see I have 99 of them up here in the upper right-hand corner. The results returned are any record where George Rogers and Amelia are named as a father and mother in Gloucestershire. So I have lots of records here to look through, and many of these are matches for the couple that I'm looking for. You'll notice that some of them come from births and christenings. I also have some that come from census and other records as well. So this is a very helpful search that you might want to use to find all the members of a family. All right, now, what if there was no image, just document information? How can I find the image of that indexed record? I'm going to show you that. So let's take a look. These are some important tips you'll need to know before you start doing this. First, review the results. Look at all the results. Is there an image attached? If not, you may still need to browse the images. Is there a film number or a DGS number that'll help you to locate it quicker? Is there an item or a page number? And most importantly, what is the date and the location of the record? Because that'll help you to find it quicker if you have to browse through the images, which is what we're going to have to do. All right, so let's go back to this marriage for George and Amelia. So we've got this information about the source details. We've got the page number and a number here, which I'm guessing may be a certificate number or an entry number in the marriage book. And then I've got the event date, 9th of November, 1824. Those are key. And then I also know that it's in Bristol. When I go over here to check image availability, it tells me the information on this record came from a group of images. And to view the image of this record, I'm going to have to browse through probably several images. So I click on Browse the Film, and that takes me to the image viewer where I can view these. So let's talk a little bit about the image viewer. Over here on the right, we have the plus and the minus. That is to enlarge and reduce. We have the option here by clicking here to view one image, and it will view the image that I'm currently on. And you can tell which one that is by the little blue box. Next, I've got tools for image adjustments where I can adjust them, and we'll talk a little bit more about those in just a minute. But this is what will pop up when you click on that. And currently, because I'm not on a single image, I am not able to use some of these options. You'll notice that they are grayed out. Those are available when I'm on a single image. All right, now let's talk about browsing the images. So I can enter a number up here. So if I wanted to jump to image 500, I can just erase the 1 and put in 500 and then hit enter and jump right ahead. I also have options up here when I'm on a single image to add it to my source box or attach it to my tree. And you notice that's grayed out because I'm not on a single image. And then I can also change it to dark mode if that helps me to see it a little bit better. So keep that in mind. Those options are for a single image only. All right, so this is the single image viewer, and you'll notice as I click on a single image, all of these options pop up. So let's talk about what they are. First, we have this one that looks like a grid. I can use that to go back and view the thumbnails. That's the little tiny pictures. I can use this button to download the image when it's allowed. There are some collections on FamilySearch that it's not allowed. There is the print option, and I will tell you that I don't really like the print option from this image viewer. So what I recommend that you do is if you can download it, download it and then print it from your photo program. So keep that in mind. Sometimes when you use the print option, it doesn't give you the full image and it can be a little wonky. So I'm just going to say that. Yes, I work for FamilySearch. All right. You also have the option to view it in full screen. Then you have the tools that I showed you earlier that will help you to improve the image quality. You have this one that will reset the view. Recently, they added the ability that when you go from image to image, it will maintain the view. You don't have to zoom in on every image when you're going from page to page. And then, of course, you've got the enlarge and reduce. So we've got some good options there. Be sure and explore them. All right, and then you'll notice now that I'm on a single image, I do have the ability to attach to the tree, and I can also put it in my source box. These are the tool options that you can see, and you'll notice one of my favorites to use is this brightness and contrast. If the image is really light, I will slide it over to the left and make it a little bit darker, and then I'll raise the contrast, and sometimes that makes that ink on the page just pop out. So, and you can see the changes that happen as you do that, so you can get it just the way that you want it. You also have options to invert the colors. If it's easier for this is a white page with black ink. If it's easier for you to see it with a black page and white ink, you can invert it. You can also rotate the image either to the left or to the right. Maybe there's a note written up the side of the document and you want to be able to read that. You can rotate it and then you can rotate it back when you need to. And then there's the option to maintain the image zoom. And I pretty much like to leave that on all the time because I don't want to have to rezoom every time I switch to a new page. And then, of course, there's the reset button. Now, at the bottom of the page, you have an index of the image if there are any names indexed from this image. And we know that there are index records for this one, but currently this image is not connected directly to its index records, and that's why it says there are no indexes available. Then we also have this information tab, and this gives you some information that links you back to the catalog, and then you can scroll down in the information field. Sometimes there's a citation there that you can just copy. You just click on the copy citation button, and then you can paste it wherever you'd like. You can use that when it's available. And then we have a little bit more information about the collection. This will come in handy in just a minute. All right, and keep in mind this section here can be raised and lowered as needed. So maybe you're working on a laptop and you want more real estate for your image. Just lower this down or click on the X and you can close it out. All right, now let's take a look at this. So this is the first image, and you'll notice I've put a blue box around it, but it also has a very faint blue box. That is the last image that I looked at before I took this screenshot. And then you'll notice these little things that look like eyeballs. Those are images that I viewed while I was looking at this particular set of images. So this is very handy. Those stay until you go out of the image collection. So if you want to keep track of where you left off, these little things are very handy. All right, and so that shows you the images that are viewed in this particular session. So always check the first, I like to do, check the first record image to see what the starting date is on the collection. Most of these collections are chronological by the date of the record. And so I can see this one begins in 1817. So I know I'm going to have to jump because remember my marriage that I'm looking for was in 1824. Another way to check to see what's in this set of images is that under that information tab, and it tells me baptisms, marriages, and burials, 1817 to 1832. So 1824 is going to be roughly in the middle. So that's important to notice as well. So most of these records are in chronological order. So I've got the marriage date, and then, of course, the place. I know I'm in the right place because it said it came from this film. So I'm going to jump ahead until I can find the 9th of November, 1824. And hopefully I will also find what looks like page 132 and record number 394. So let's take a look. So I've jumped ahead, and you can see I've gone about halfway, roughly. So jump through the images until you find the right date. There's my 840. And then here's my image. image number 840. And up here, you can see this is page 132. Now, keep in mind when you're searching these images, the page number very rarely corresponds to the image number. So look for the image number on the document. And then there's George Rogers and Amelia Oakey, and there is the record number 394. So I found it. It all matches what I put into my search engine and the image that I was looking for. All right, when you're doing browsing images, always locate the image of the index record. If you need to preserve that indexed information so you can refer back to it, you can open it in a second browser tab, or you can write it down. Make sure you read through the record carefully. There may have been other clues there that are not in the indexed information. And be sure and attach that image to Family Tree so people will know where you found it. All right, let's talk about full text search, everybody's new favorite, and it's so wonderful. People are finding things they've been looking for years. So this full text search allows records that would be normally very time-consuming to read through to be fully searchable. And we're talking about deeds and court records and probate. Even some vital records and some books are found in full text search. This is located in FamilySearch Labs, and you need to know that this is generated through artificial intelligence. And so artificial intelligence is learning how to read those records, so there might be errors. Just keep that in mind. So if you'll go to FamilySearch.org/labs, and labs does require you to be logged in, and then you're going to look for, before I forget, keep in mind that anything you find in labs is experimental and they're working on it and there's very limited support, but they do love feedback. So if you find a feature that you love or you think of a feature that everybody would love, give us the feedback and the engineers will look at that and see if they can make it happen. All right, so the first time you go in to use it, you will have to turn on the experiment. So let me back up. So you can see I've already turned it on. If I wanted to turn it off, I could do that, but I don't think I'm ever going to do that. So when I go to use it, I'm going to click on Go to Experiment, and that's going to open up the search engine where I can begin my search. So another thing that you can do on full text search is search for a DGS number to see if it's been in full text search. But I have a surprise for you because our engineers have done something wonderful that will help make this easier. All right, so you can enter the DGS to see if it's been there. All right, now as you scroll down the page, you see an option here to find a collection, and then you also see an option to do some advanced search tips. So you can browse all the collections, and that will allow you to look to see what's been what's added to this full text search. And also, I highly recommend that you look at the advanced search tips. If you're wandering around and you get lost and you're thinking, I don't know, I'm not finding what I want, make sure that you've read the tips so that you will have more successful searches. It only takes a few minutes. They're very short, but they're very key in helping you find what you're looking for. So keep that in mind. Read the instructions, even though nobody likes to. All right, so let's go back to the search engine and let's talk about the fields that we have there. I'm going to maximize that up. So we have keywords. So you could put in keywords. So you could put in like a name of a person, put them in quotes. That's one of the search tips. Or you can add an asterisk and get everything that starts with CAR asterisk. You can also add a name, and you'll notice there's no distinction here between first name and last name. So you put both names in the name field, or if you want to just look for the last name, you can do that. You also have where you can indicate a place and a year range, and then you can also enter in an image group number or what we call a DGS number. All right, so I'm going to search for Richard Crowder. He is the father of George, who we looked for earlier. And I know that he lived in Wake County, North Carolina. As I start to type in Wake, it offers me suggestions, and I pick the one that matches. And then I'm going to put the date range 1800 to 1880, because that's about his lifetime, his lifespan. And here are my results. You see I have probate, marriage licenses, deeds, a lot of different records. This one strikes my interest. It's a probate. Why? Because it's a will. And sometimes a will, a father or a mother will name all of their children. So let's take a look. And you'll notice on the right, I have my full text, and highlighted in yellow is everywhere where Crowder or Richard appears, because I didn't put them in quotation marks. So I have a lot of information, and this is actually Richard's father's will. I found it years ago without full text search. This is also the option to use for citations. So what I typically like to do is copy it all, because that helps me to make sure that I got all the important elements of the citation, and then I build my citation doing that. So let's talk about this search results page. On the right is where you can modify your search, or you can make any changes to, and then just click on search again. In case you didn't already do it, you can read them here. The search tips, look, it's not very many words. I recommend that you read them. And then over here on the other side, we've got the fact view. I usually like to leave this turned on. When you turn it on, then it allows you to see specific facts that it's pulled out from this image. So I've got the names of persons, I've got places, and I've got years, where I didn't have that before when I didn't have fact view checked. So I like to leave that on all the time. All right, now we've got the same types of filters that we saw earlier on the global search and on the search record search. We've got collection, year, place, and record type. So when you click on one of those, it works the same way. You just choose an option and keep clicking until you get what you need, whether it's a specific collection or a specific date. It starts out from centuries and then goes to decades, or if it's a place, from largest jurisdiction to smallest. So let's take a look at the probate. I click on that, and then I've got this option here. Here I have some information on how to attach the sources. And then I've also got the highlights. You can see that include what I put in my search engine. And then I've got the tools. These are the same as what we saw in the image viewer. And then we've got the transcription that came from AI. And it's a good idea to read through that. There may be some mistakes in there as well. Now, there's a couple of options here in the right-hand sidebar for you to copy the transcript. So if I click on that, it will copy everything that's in the transcription, and I can paste it into a Word document or a source on FamilySearch, and I can have that information. There's also an option to download the transcription, which is very helpful. There's also options to, in the tools, to download the image, and you can choose whether you want the image to come with a citation or not, if you want it to be PDF or JPEG. So keep that in mind as well. Then you also have the option here to get a summary of the document. So AI reads through all this legalese and tells you what's going on in the record in case you don't understand. So be sure and scroll through the transcription and see what's there. All right, now let's take a look at the source box options. I can add the image directly to my source box, and then I can also go to my source box. Maybe I think this might be my guy, but I'm not sure. I can save it there, and I won't have to go hunt for it later. All right, then I've also, this is when you click on the citation option, you get several options here. My favorite thing to do is just copy all. So also another thing that I like to do is copy the DGS number and paste it into the catalog and get the catalog entry for that DGS number. Then I know for sure I'll have all the elements I need for my citation. All right, so what collections can you find? If you scroll down on the full text search page, you can see these two options. Find a collection, and I'm going to click there on Browse a Collection, and you can see that they are all listed here. They are in alphabetical order. I can increase the number of records that are on the page, so I can go from 20 to 100. And then I can also focus these, and let's say I want to do a specific country for Italy. So I can start typing in Italy, and it will bring me up the records that have full text search applied to them for Italy. So very helpful for searching. Let's walk through this results page on the collections. So the collection is listed by its title, and it usually begins with the name of the place. So keep that in mind. Also, we have the number of records that come from that particular collection. We have the last time it was updated, and then we have this little icon that tells us that this is a computer index collection, meaning it's available in CAI. And again, don't forget the tips. Use quotations if you're looking for an exact phrase. If you want to add John, but you don't want to add James, you can add a plus for John and a minus for James. If Johnson is sometimes EN or ON, you can add a question mark, or you can start, I want to see everything that starts with CRO, and then add an asterisk. So be sure and try different spelling variations and read through the entire document. And there is a link to a short video on how to use this effectively in your syllabus. All right, when you're using these computer-aided index records, it's important to be a little bit creative. Make sure you review the image of any hit or result that you get. Be creative in your search terms. Maybe use a full name, maybe use a partial name, maybe try the names of the parents or the names of the spouse, or last names only or first names only. Also try searching for a particular record group. Now let's talk a little bit about searching via the catalog. So in the catalog, you can find digitized images, books, periodicals, maps, and other resources. Our library here has extensive holdings. So what you need to know, can you find out, are the records you need digitized? And just came out in the last couple of weeks, are the records included in full text search? So let's take a look. Why use the catalog? To verify if a microfilm has been indexed or has full text search options, or perhaps to locate other items for your locality or your surname. Let's do this. Hang on just a second. All right, and then I would recommend that you search for the records at the jurisdictional level that created the records. We know some records are created by the nation or the federal government. Some are created by states. Some are county. Some are city. Even some are parish. So a person might live, for example, in Chicago and be on a national record like a World War I or World War II draft. They might be on a state record for some other types of records. They might a state census, perhaps. They might be on the county for a marriage or a birth, or maybe the birth is recorded at the state level. They may be in a parish in Chicago. So keep that in mind. There's different jurisdictions. Search them all. And make sure that you know how to spell the name correctly. Our new catalog interface does offer suggestions, so keep that in mind. But places within is a fun thing to do. And so I'll show you a little bit more about that as well. You can also try a combination search. So let's say I want to look specifically for, let's go back to my Crowder example. Crowder in North Carolina. I could click on place and put North Carolina, and surnames and put Crowder. So be creative. To get to the catalog, it's under the search tab under FamilySearch, and then you click on catalog, and you will notice we've changed the catalog. Don't freak out. We had to do it. The technology behind the old catalog was 15 years old. And if you know technology, that's way too old for technology. So we needed to update it. But it's got improved data. It now has all of the library holdings. For a short time there, you weren't able to see all the newly acquired books that we have in the library because the old catalog wouldn't speak to our new book catalog. They froze it for a while to get this new catalog up and running. It does have enhanced places, but it also has some of the same features that you've always loved, the search and being able to search jurisdictions and create print lists. Be sure and send feedback because they're still working on this catalog. There's still more fun things to come. I won't let you know what they are, but you're going to be excited. Keep an eye out. And again, here's where you can go to the community and provide feedback, or you can just click on this feedback button that's over here on the side. There is a little tutorial here if you have never used a catalog that will help you to learn how to use it. Now let's take a look at the search engine, and there you can see the different options that I mentioned earlier. You can also search for a call number if you have a particular number of a book that you want to look at, or a film or an image group number. And then you can also do availability if you can see it online or if you can see it in your FamilySearch Center. All right, so let's go back to Wake County, North Carolina. And then up here, I have place information. When I click on that, I'm taken to this page that tells me a little bit more about Wake County, North Carolina. I've got two options here, 1776 to today, and then I've got during the colonial period. I've also got time maps that change the different boundaries that I can see. And then there's a lot more information if you scroll down the page. So be sure to scroll down and look for that additional information about your county, because counties haven't always had the same boundaries, and it's important to know that when you're researching. All right, so let's go back to Wake County to the catalog. And then this is my places within feature. So I can use this to see things that are specifically for North Carolina, or I can see places within Wake County, North Carolina. When I click on that, I have the names of these towns, townships, and cities that are part of Wake County where my ancestors lived. Now, if I want to look at change my search to refine it, I have the option here. I don't have to go all the way to the beginning page of the catalog and start all over. I can do it right here. Do I want to view the items? Let's say I have this cemeteries. I want to view what's there. This number 3 tells me that there are 3 entries. So I click on that, and then I'm just going to blow this up. These are the 3 entries that I can see. And then I would just click on the link here to view the full details about any of these things that might be of interest to me. All right, now I'm going to go down here, and I want to see which deed records are available for Wake County, North Carolina. So I'm going to go to Land and Property, and I'm going to go down and I'm going to choose the deeds that come from the county. So I'm going to choose this one, Record of Deeds. As I click on it, there's my full information about the collection. And then as I go down, I get more details about each particular item. And you will notice that it has that computer index collection icon. So I click on that and it takes me back to labs where I can enter in Crowder and I can search for what I'm looking for in that particular index. Now I chose the index that had letters between started with CN to CZ. And now I can see all the Crowders that have been indexed on that particular DGS. And you'll notice it automatically filled in the DGS number. All right, let's talk about a different entry. This time I've gone to Italy, to Ati Castello, because I want to teach you a little bit more about this as well. So this is where you could find that image group number if you want to go in and see if it has been added to full text search. You also have this little magnifying glass, and it works the same way the computer indexed icon works. I click on it, and it's going to open up a search engine where I can search in just this collection of births from 1820 to 1850, because this tells me some of this collection, maybe not all of it, but some of it has been indexed. So I'm going to start there and see what I can find that's been indexed. Again, you'll notice under the film numbers that some of these have item numbers. Those are like chapters in a book. So if I'm looking at the notificaciones, and it hasn't been indexed, I click on the camera and it takes me to the image viewer. And now I need to find item 2, because remember, what I want to see starts in item 2. So here you can see item 1. As I scroll down, you will see these in the thumbnails. They're usually these dark screens. This is where 1 ends and 2 begins. So this is where I want to start my search in that particular collection. Now, what can you see from home? Magnifying glass icon, that means at least one record from that collection has been indexed. Click on it, a search engine will pop up, and you can search for the names you're looking for. And remember, be creative. Don't just search for the exact name. Try surnames too to see who else you can find. The camera icon takes you right to the image viewer where you can search through the images, browse through them one by one. The camera icon with a little exclamation point, I know sometimes that makes you very frustrated. That means these records are viewable, but they may have additional restrictions. If you click on the icon, it may tell you what the restrictions are. Sometimes it's as simple as just going to your local family search center to view those. Sometimes it's as simple as logging in. Keep in mind, those restrictions are imposed upon FamilySearch by the archive that let us capture those records. And we have to abide by the rules of the contract. So don't yell at FamilySearch. It's the people that let us get the records. And don't yell at them either, because they let us have the records. If you see the microfilm roll icon, even though all our microfilm is digitized, this usually means there are very heavy restrictions. Possibly you can see those if you come here and visit us at the FamilySearch Library. And this last one, the new one that just came out a few weeks ago, this one tells me that this has been through full text search, and I can just click on that and I can go see what's been through full text search for that one. So now let's talk a little bit about the browsing the images. These are newly digitized images that may not be found in the catalog yet because they've just gotten in the FamilySearch pipeline. It's not a place to search by name. The same viewing restrictions apply that may be in the catalog as well. So FamilySearch has cameras out all over the world. We actually have cameras in Ukraine capturing images right now because we want to preserve those before, hopefully they don't go away, but just in case. So on this page, you will enter place to begin. Once you start typing in, just like the other search engines, it'll offer you some options. Choose the one that matches the locality that you're looking for. Then these are my records for Cuneo, for Ormea in Cuneo. Up here, I have my places within option, and I can see there's one place in Ormea, Viozine, but I can also click up here and I can see there's also a map that will let me see where it is on the map. And then this is a great way I found to do a radial search. So let's say you think your ancestors were in Ormea, but they weren't. Maybe they were in one of the other towns nearby. You can zoom in and out, and as you hover over one of these bubbles, you can see the name of the place and the number of results. So if you thought your ancestor was supposed to be here and he's not, maybe you try some of these other places that are nearby. Now, there are filters in images that you can use to improve your searches. Oops. You can filter by date or by life event. So you can enter that information and click on update. I'll show you how that's done. So in this case, I want to look for deaths in 1876. So I type in 1876 and I choose the option offered. Now you could put 1876 to 1880 and it will give you 1876 to 1880. So keep that in mind. There are various ways to add the date. And then also life event. So I want to see deaths. Right now it tells me there's 220. But once I click on death and click update, now I can see that for this particular year, there are only 2. Now to view the images here, I'm going to click on the little link there. That's the DGS number, the image group number. And it takes me to the image viewer. Again, over here on the right, if there were indexes, it would allow me to see these. In this particular case, I'm not on a single image, so there is not an index for that. And then here I am on a single image, but I can see this one hasn't been indexed yet, so I know I'm going to have to browse through these. And then you can use these little arrows to go back and forth within the image. You can also scroll through, and you can also enter in a number. When you're using these image collections, sometimes you can see in the thumbnails, there's actually images that have indexes that were written in the book. Try to find those first. Just keep in mind the page number that's in that index is not going to match the image number. It's going to match the page number or the record number on the page that's inside the image. Begin with the date of the event and go forwards or backwards. Start with first day they can record a birth is the day of birth. The same thing for the marriage. So keep that in mind when you're looking for those. And just remember, maybe your years are off a little bit. Maybe Grandma Gertie remembered the date wrong. So to also try a few years before or a few years after. It's always a good idea to take notes and use a research log. That way you remember where you left off. Because again, once you close that session, those little eyeball things that I showed you, those go away. Be patient. You can have really good luck in the image collections. Don't give up. And remember, if you're looking for records and you're not finding anything in the catalog and you're not finding anything by searching by name, go to search and then images and see what's newly acquired that might not be in the catalog yet. So we're going to do a quick little summary here, and then I'm going to take some questions. So be sure and try all the places. Try search records using a variety of search terms. Try full text search in FamilySearch.org/labs. Try the catalog and try all of the jurisdictions. Don't just go to the city. Try the county and the state and wherever you need to search, the parish. And then if you're not finding anything, try search images because maybe it's something brand new. And as I mentioned, FamilySearch has catalogs all over the world, so you'll want to try those to see what you can find. All right. Phew, we made it. All right. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. Thanks for joining us. And I know I gave you a lot of stuff, but good news, if you miss something, it's been recorded. You can see it again. And you can even stop and pause and rewind. What did Debbie just say? I didn't catch that. So great.
And you can go download the slides too and go through
Mhm.
it yourself. We did have some questions. Thank you so much, Debbie, for all of that awesome information. Kay Bobbitt asks, for the image viewer, can you hit the print button and have it give the option to save the document?
I don't believe that it will work that way. I think you'll have to use the download button for that, Kay.
Okay. And then we have a question from Avishai on Facebook. Good morning from Dallas, Texas. I'm trying to find a second great uncle. He went to Huntsville prison in 1893. Do you know if they took pictures of prisoners back then?
I don't believe so, but I have not worked with those records very much. So you may want to post in the community or post on FamilySearch and see if somebody else knows the answer to that. I suspect not, because they already had a mugshot when they were arrested and tried. So probably not, but yeah.
Good tip. Thank you. And then this one, I have a surname, but not a first name, unable to progress. Any tips for Eden genes from
Okay, so sometimes when you have just a surname, you may have to back up into your tree and go to the descendants of that person and start doing heavy research on everything you can find about them to see if you can find more information about that particular person. Another option would be, when you're doing that descendant research, is to look at all the members of the family, because maybe your direct person doesn't have great records, but maybe one of their siblings does, and they might have the information that will help you go forward.
That's a really good point. Thank you. Okay, those are all the questions that we have right now. But like Debbie said, if you have questions and you're watching the replay, please still ask them. We monitor social media and we can get you answers or point you in the right direction if we don't know. So please ask them. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We do have a webinar at this time next week, which is called Finding Original Records, the Real Game of Hide and Seek. And that will be taught by Janalee McBride from the FamilySearch Library. So make sure that you tune into that. And thank you again, Debbie. This was wonderful.
Thanks, Erin. It's been a pleasure. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Okay, we're done.
Woohoo!